Hey everyone, and welcome back to another Garden Warfare 2 video. Today's topic is going to be a shot in the dark, as it's been talked about countless times over the last few years. Today, I'm going to be talking about how Garden Warfare 2 can possibly be revived and saved. There's a lot of things that are immediately obvious with this, those being that the game is no longer going to receive any more content updates, so already, this video should be taken with a grain of salt, as this is all speculation and brainstorming. And with that being said, let's jump into it. Before I start the video though, I do want to mention that this is not going to be a regular, documentary style video. I'm basically going to be free talking this entire video. I want to try a different type of content where instead of writing an entire script for a video, I go off of my actual opinions, and instead of writing them down on a document and reading them, I'm going to say it from my heart, and I guess, yeah, we'll just see how it turns out. I have, however, listed 5 things on this document that I think could possibly revive not only Garden Warfare 2, but Garden Warfare 2 and the other shooter games, but mainly Garden Warfare 2 because this is the most popular game in the franchise. So coming in at number 1, this is the most obvious thing that would revive the game, and that is that the player count and the sales go up a large amount. Now, if you guys do not know, I actually didn't know this until a couple weeks ago when a viewer of mine in chat actually told me that the reason why Battle for Neighborville actually failed was financial failure. It wasn't the failure of people didn't like it and they gave up. They actually lost so much money that they had to shut down a studio and literally stop updating the shooter games. The studio in Vancouver, I believe it was. So, with this being said, if for some reason the player count just goes up like quadruples, it has to be more than quadruples. Let's say it goes up 100,000 players, and that means every single player bought the game for like $30. Then that means that's what, $3 million that they made right off the bat. They're gonna notice some sort of, you know, like, wow, that's a lot of players. Like, that's a lot of people. And they're gonna want to capitalize off that. So they're probably either going to update the game or do something with the game, maybe put it on sale so more people are tempted to buy the game. Like, that's kind of what they did with Steam. You know, with Steam, they put it on Steam. I think it was May 16th, 2022, because I remember it was my dad's birthday. They put it on Steam, and it actually got quite a bit of traction. It was like 5,000 players started playing, and obviously a lot of people rebought the game. Like I myself, I rebought the game because I'm an idiot. I mean, it was only like $3 after like the first week because they just put it on sale for some reason. Otherwise, like I think they were expecting that the game would just somehow blow up because it was on Steam, and maybe if it did, I mean, who knows? Maybe if the game blew up, then the game would start getting updates. We don't know this because, you know, they didn't say anything. It might have been a last-ditch effort to try to get the game some more funding. So maybe they could update the game again. Who knows? That's obviously just an opinion. I do believe that, though, because, you know, what other reason than to get money? Who knows if the money would have went towards the game? Probably not, but I'm just saying, like, if the game somehow gains a ton of players overnight and a ton of money generates from it, more players are going to be wanting stuff from the game. That's going to be a lot more incentive to update the game, I think. And it's pretty obvious because the shooter games are some of the best performing popcap games that ever. Like, monetary-wise, popularity-wise, like, they're the best performing ones. Not as much BFN, but BFN still made a decent amount of revenue, regardless of it being, like, literally poop. But Garden Warfare 1 and Garden Warfare 2 definitely got them up there, you know, got them known for being popcap. You know, that was a great, these two games, they're amazing. Garden Warfare 1 and Garden Warfare 2 are amazing games. Obviously, they're meant for kids, but people of all ages still play them and love them to this day. So that's my reason, number 1, if they just gain a ton of money and a ton of players out of the blue. Coming up at number 2 is one that I actually discussed with a couple of people a couple years ago and was brought to my attention because I didn't really come up with a lot of these ideas myself. They're mainly just things that I heard other people talking about, and number 2 is going to be the same. It is that EA sells the Garden Warfare rights to another company, or just the Plants vs. Zombies rights in general, knowing, you know, the direction of the entire franchise is going. It's not doing very well with the release of PvZ3. So out there in the world of gaming, there's obviously copyright, and you can't just make a game with a trademark. You gotta have the rights to it. You gotta have permission. So if PopCap, let's say, decides to put up the rights to Plants vs. Zombies for, let's say, $1 billion, or maybe like 200 million, because the franchise isn't doing all so well. You know, maybe back in like 2016, you could have put it up for $1 billion, but now it's not doing all too well. Let's say you put it up for 200 million, and I don't know, a gaming company, Activision, Activision, they buy it. And Activision, even though they're a pretty crappy company, you know, just as bad as EA, they decide, you know what? This is a potential to make a lot of money. You know, there's a very loyal fan base here. Players still want more content. Let's buy the rights and let's start updating the games. And all of a sudden, the games start getting regular updates. Maybe instead we just see a brand new shooter just out there. You know, they don't even stop to update these games. They just release a new shooter. There is a lot of money to be able to be thrown around in the space of gaming. You know, ton of companies are rich. Tons of companies have a lot of rights to a lot of different things. It wouldn't be a shocker if a company buys the rights to Plants vs. Zombies, or maybe just the rights to a shooter. I think you have to have the rights to the entire franchise. I'm not sure how that works, but all I know is that you have to have the rights to make a game. And they buy the rights and they come out with a game. And you know, it's gonna be, let's say the marketing is good, it's just as good as Garden Warfare 1. There you go. That is a game revive right there. This doesn't really necessarily go with how Garden Warfare 2 can get revived, since obviously, you know, the shooter franchise will get revived. Maybe not so much Garden Warfare 2, but with the third release, obviously people are going to want to check out the other games, because I'm sure a lot of people are going to check out the third game, and then they're going to notice that there was a first game and a second game, and they're probably going to check it out too. Or, you know, they just continue updating the second game, which I think would be more beneficial than just outright making an entirely new game. I think if they honestly wanted to capitalize the most, instead of spending the resources to make an entirely new game, I say they just keep updating Garden Warfare 2 as it is. You don't have to put in so much work to make an entirely new game that you know, could flop. It's not a guarantee that it would do good, but there's just so much potential in buying the rights to a game that I think it would do good. Number 3 is probably the least viable option on this list, and that's that there's another shooter in the works, just secretly. They're just secretly making one. I thought of this last minute because, I mean, that's kind of what they did for BFN in a way. You know, you guys might be thinking I'm crazy for saying this, and alright, fair enough, because, you know, the studio shut down. The thing is with BFN is that they announced it. Well, first of all, they announced that they were working on a shooter in 2019, and the game came out in 2019. You know what I mean? Like, they spent a decent amount of money and time on the game, but they just released it outright out of nowhere. Like, they didn't even say they were releasing it. They just released it out there. They put up a premiere on YouTube. I've said it plenty of times. They put up a premiere on YouTube, and then they just released it. Almost no marketing. They said there was a shooter in the works. The same year it got released. So, knowing this, there's possible, or maybe there's not even a new shooter in the works. Maybe there's an update in the works that they're doing something, because they still update the game with like anti-cheat, and I know they say that they're not going to update the game anymore, but you never know. With companies, you never know. Anything that has money involved, they will do it. There might be a DLC that comes out that just has like 2 extra characters, and then they can sell that for money. I feel like if they included 2 new characters, 1 for each side, and they just put it as a DLC is the only way to buy them, they would make a decent amount of money. It would be a scummy thing to do, but they would you know, still make money. It would be a monetary benefit to them. So there's always something secret that could happen. I honestly doubt it, but as I said, this is the least viable option on this list, but it's always a possibility, you know, brainstorming. Coming up at number 4 is one of PopCap's newer games performs well and revives every other game in the franchise a little bit. So with the release of PvZ3, this is also probably not very viable and probably won't happen, but let's say that they fix PvZ3, and PvZ3 is a major hit. People are going to want to check out their other games, and they're going to see Garden Warfare games. They're gonna see every game, and you know, specifically I think Garden Warfare 2, because this is the biggest shooter game. This is the best shooter game in mainly everybody's opinion. They're gonna check it out, and they're gonna enjoy it, and then they're gonna keep playing it. And then knowing that their game did really well, this kind of comes back to number 1, where they have enough money to start, you know, funding the games again. Maybe they do make a new one. Maybe they start updating this one. Regardless, if any other games gets popular, the other games are also going to benefit from it, especially Garden Warfare 2, since this game was obviously a major hit when it first came out, and a lot of people remember the game. They just either forgot about it or they just haven't played it, and maybe it revives something in them to want to play it again. I honestly doubt this will ever happen, because knowing the way PvZ is going right now, it's not doing very well. They're not gaining much from it. And this also comes back to number 1, because the way that PvZ is going is they're losing a lot of money fast. They're putting a lot of work into these games that it's not worth it, because nobody likes the updates that the game is receiving. So I think that there's a pretty big chance that they might actually sell the franchise, like the rights to it, to another company, and maybe hopefully that company is not Activision, because Jesus Christ, if it gets sold to Activision, we're screwed. You know what I mean? Like, they might just shut down the servers for this game. Who knows? If it gets sold to a company that actually cares about the community and wants to make the game better, then we can have our hopes high. But for now, hopes are pretty low. And that's why we're making this video, brainstorming ideas. And coming up at number 5 is one that I also recently talked about on stream. Someone brought up and I thought was actually a really great point, is they actually just remastered the Star Wars Battlefront shooters. So that got us thinking, what if they remaster the Garden Warfare shooters? Garden Warfare is 10 years old. Garden Warfare 2 is 8 years old, and BFN is almost 5 years old. Maybe one of these dates, one of these anniversary dates, they decide that they want to remaster these games, and the remasters release really well. Maybe they balance the game out a little bit, maybe they change it up a little bit, maybe they add something that wasn't in the original games. There's so many things that they can do other than, you know, just remaster the game, that I think will revive the game. Absolutely revive it. You know, maybe in the remaster, the town hall has a different rotation and it actually has good game modes. Maybe in the remaster, EP doesn't do a zillion damage a shot. You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of things that they can switch and change. There's a lot of potential, a lot of room for potential. And there's so many videos online talking about this type of stuff and what people want. So many comments, so many things that EA and popcap can look into, that they can just clearly see are main issues in the game. You know, for example, like, there's a lot of glitches that people know of that literally break the game. I mean, there's literally a glitch that crashes lobbies. If more people were scums of the earth, this game would not be alive right now, because many people will be crashing lobbies. And modding isn't so much a big thing because that's not like the main game. You know, I'm not too worried about that. If you're that worried about it, just play console, honestly. I mean, modding is you know, I don't really play on PC, so I don't know. But if you're that bothered by it, come to console. Console servers are very alive too. But yeah, I just think remastered versions would be a lot better. Even though, like, you know, BFN came out like 5 years ago, I don't know if it would make sense to remaster it. Maybe they just remaster Garden Warfare 1, because remastering 2, I mean, I did say they remastered the Star Wars Battlefront game, so obviously they can do it with more than one game. I think if they remastered the games and they released them maybe for like $10 for all 3 games, or $20 for all 3 games, maybe not at an insane price. I mean, knowing them, it's going to be at an insane price. But if they make the price justifiable to where people would want to buy them again, and maybe your account can either be reset or you can continue your progress, and maybe there's a new max rank, maybe there's a 55 play. There's just so many opportunities to change stuff that people would want, that I think remastering the game would be a fantastic idea. Maybe wait a couple years, maybe not. Who knows? And that, my friends, is going to be my 5 reasons on how Garden Warfare 2 can get revived. If you guys did enjoy, make sure to drop a like. If you guys are new, subscribe. I am a pretty active Garden Warfare content creator, so if you guys are interested, check out my other videos. Let me know what your opinions are in the comments down below, and if you agree with any of my opinions. With that, I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.